And welcome back to another episode of Talking Sports. I am your host, Andrew, doing a solo episode here once again without my partner in crime of Miles Shield. Hope that he'll be back on the show very, very soon. But today, for you guys, we have episode 28 on the docket for you guys. And on that docket, we have a lot more news to cover than most times because it's been a little bit of a while since the show has posted an episode. Maybe a little bit over a week, I would say. So, have a bunch of news that I got to cover. The NFL trade deadline is something I really want to focus on in this episode. I'll be grading some of the big moves, so Sauce Gardner to the Colts, Quinnen Williams to the Cowboys, Jacoby Myers to the Jaguars. Moves like that are the ones I'm really going to be focusing on, and I'm going to be giving grades for both teams in this episode. But we'll cover that in just a little bit. Starting out, the first thing I want to talk about here, get the joke? Um, Talking sports, talk. You guys get it? Okay, I'll just stop. Moving on. The first thing I want to talk about on this show is the Los Angeles Dodgers are now back to back World Series champions. I said two-time, I meant back to back. Hope that was clear. That's a little bit of a fumble on my part. But, anyways, the Dodgers defeated the Blue Jays in Toronto in Game 7, and what a Game 7 it was. Actually, me and Miles were both watching that game late at night on Saturday, I believe it was. And it was a very entertaining game all the way down to the wire, especially in the late innings with Miguel Rojas of the Dodgers coming up in the clutch, hitting that solo home run. And Miguel Rojas, this could be a pretty crucial moment for his free agent stock if we're talking about that right now, because Miguel Rojas, he's a veteran. And if you're looking at him from another team's perspective, Miguel Rojas might be an attractive bat, and he's still very good at defense. Who knows? Miguel Rojas, that World Series performance in Game 7 might have elevated his stock even more. And same for Will Smith, coming up clutch in the top of the 10th, hitting that solo home run to give the Blue Jays the lead, and the Dodgers would not give it up. And for those of you saying that, oh man, the Dodgers won another one, man, the MLB should really implement a salary cap because the Dodgers are just too good. They spend all this money. I want to point something out. For the Dodgers, this was not a easy road to the World Series. In the regular season, they were not the best team. I mean, from the seeding, they were the third best team. Now, talent-wise, they may have been the best team. We obviously saw the Brewers be the best team overall in the regular season, but that's something completely different from the playoffs, and that may be more so a structure with the playoffs and how many games are played there compared to the regular season, because the regular season is 162 games, and at most in the playoffs, a team can be playing, I think, maybe 25 or 22 games, somewhere in that range, I'm pretty sure, if I'm doing quick math correctly. So I think it's more so something on the playoff format and not really on the Dodgers side of things. And I'm not going to criticize the Dodgers real quick because the Dodgers are working within the rules of the MLB right now. They are taking advantage of the deferred money by giving that money to Shohei, giving the money to Blake Snell, and they gave a lot of money to Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and Yamamoto was very impressive. I mean, the Dodgers are working within the rules, and as much as we want to completely brood about it, we can also be brooding about our own teams and not taking advantage of that as well. I mean, that's something that the owners of the teams have to work out, the general managers. So it's something that isn't out of the Dodgers' control. We can't control what the Dodgers are doing, and I feel like it may be wrong to introduce a salary cap for that, but I think that's more of a discussion for a later time. And I'll talk about free agency in probably in a future episode because I want to do a mini-sode about where I think every big MLB free agent will be. I mean, we saw Munetaka Murakami, big third baseman from Japan, 25 years old. He just got posted, I believe, 2 days ago. So the MLB teams have 45 days to sign him to a major league contract. So that will be something that will be a big conversation topic in the future. But sticking with the Dodgers, I mean, the Blue Jays put up a really good season, a really good fight in the series. It just seemed like in the short term, the Dodgers had more talent. And again, I'm not going to criticize the Dodgers for all the talent they have. I think that's more of a playoff and sample size difference. So, and again, the Blue Jays were able to kind of get to this point by outlasting their opponents and having their team. And it's just, I think the Dodgers overall were a more talented roster. And that's a problem that is something for a separate discussion, in my opinion. So, congratulations to the Dodgers once again. Congratulations to Clayton Kershaw on getting his third MLB World Series ring in his career, rounding out his career on a really high note. Clayton Kershaw in the World Series as well was very solid in his relief appearances. He wasn't a starter, but I mean, the Dodgers just had a little bit more of an abundance of starting pitching with Clayton Kershaw, Yamamoto. You had Otani. You had, of course, Roki Sasaki getting moved to the bullpen as a closer, and Roki Sasaki as a closer might be the move because right now in those relief innings, he looks really, really good, especially against the Brewers. I'm still a little bit sad about that, but you know, the Dodgers did everything right and they were able to come out on top. And good show by the Blue Jays once again for everything they did and they got to this point. And the awards for the MLB are coming up very, very soon. I believe the Silver Sluggers got announced. I'll be talking about that possibly in another episode. But moving on, sticking with the MLB, some managers have been filled. The manager vacancies for several teams have been filled. The Minnesota Twins hired Derek Shelton to be their manager, replacing Rocco Baldelli. And Derek Shelton most recently was working for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Actually, at this season he was most recently working with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And this move for the Twins makes me scratch my head because the reason he is no longer with the Pirates is because he was fired mid-season and for just doing poor job overall. And I don't think that's really Derek Shelton's fault. I think Derek Shelton is maybe a fine manager, but I don't know if he's the guy that the Twins want to replace him with. I think for the Pirates, it's more of a GM and front office kind of thing, and not really a manager kind of thing with Derek Shelton. But I don't know how to feel about this. Derek Shelton coming from a uh, pretty unimpressive tenure with the Pittsburgh Pirates doesn't give me a lot of confidence for a Twins team that really doesn't have a direction of where it's going. I mean, they have some pretty fun pieces like Taj Bradley is a really good piece coming up through the ranks. He's a younger pitcher. I mean, they have Royce Lewis is still there, but the Twins, I don't know about having Derek Shelton be there because the tenure with the Pirates doesn't give me a lot of confidence in his ability to do things with the Twins. Next up, the 2023 World Series champion Texas Rangers are replacing their manager Bruce Bochy with Skip Schumaker. And I believe recently Skip Schumaker was working with the Miami Marlins, was his last managerial position, his last time with a MLB team, if I am correct. So again, I'm not sure how I feel about this one. I would actually prefer Skip Schumaker over Derek Shelton in this point because I believe with the Marlins, Skip Schumaker did make it to the playoffs. Now, I just want to make sure real quick, actually. Okay, I was right. He did coach for the Marlins most recently as their manager. He had to leave due to a family matter and apparently some disagreements with the front office. And if I was in his place, I don't know if I'd be agreeing with the front office of the Marlins very much either because that team, not very good. So for the Rangers, definitely an interesting hire as well, but I think with Skip Schumaker has that track record of getting to the playoffs with the Marlins in 2023 when the Marlins themselves were not an entirely amazing team, but who knows? I think Skip Schumaker gives the Rangers another opportunity, and with that core of Corey Seager, they have Marcus Semien still there. They still have Jonah Heim still there from that World Series team. They still have a good amount of prospects with Evan Carter. They have some other impressive guys on the rotation side of things. They still got Jacob deGrom. So the Rangers still have talent there. Hopefully, Skip Schumaker can kind of harness all that potential into another successful team. The Padres also hired their new manager in Craig Stammen. Craig Stammen, actually, fun fact, was a former relief pitcher for the San Diego Padres very, very recently, and he was actually kind of helping the Padres as an assistant trying to hire their new manager. And eventually, after not finding their manager, I guess they just were like, okay, you know what, Craig, you want this manager job? Yeah, sure, why not? That's kind of how I view it. So I'm not sure. Craig Stammen can be a first-time manager, going straight from being a player to kind of being an assistant in the front office now to being a manager. I'm not sure, but as a former player, I mean, I don't see anything that would be wrong with this hire yet. I think that will really emerge in the season. I could see Craig Stammen being a more pitcher-friendly kind of manager, maybe not helping out on the hitting side of things. So the Padres are going to really have to find a really good hitting coach, most likely. But we're going to have to wait and see. The Toronto Blue Jays, like I just mentioned, fresh off their run to the World Series, they did pick up Craig Schneider's option as their manager for next season, but Don Mattingly, their bench coach, has left the team and right now is searching for a new job. And I think there's still one coaching vacancy left, and that is the Colorado Rockies, who they did hire a new president of baseball operations because they fired their last one, so they did pick up a new one, but they're still searching for a manager. I guess Don Mattingly could be a very enticing option, potentially, fresh off the World Series run, bench coach with the Blue Jays. Who knows? And Don Mattingly, a former player with the Yankees, won a couple World Series there. All I'm saying, the Rockies could be looking at Don Mattingly as their new manager very, very soon. The Atlanta Braves also have found their new manager after replacing him, replacing Bryant Snicker, their former manager, with Walt West. I believe I'm saying that name right. Walt West was the former bench coach of the Braves. He's a former player as well, coach around the team as well. So he will be being promoted from the bench coach to the manager. And I believe he's already started bringing guys from the Mets to be on his staff. I'm pretty sure I've seen it. But apparently, he also had a managing stint with the Rockies. Apparently, I'm just reading some of the facts online right now about Walt West. Don't know a lot about him, but being that he served under Brian Snicker for these last couple seasons, I believe, I mean, I would say this is like a passing of the torch, and I relate this to the kind of Brewers, what they did after they replaced Craig Counsell with Pat Murphy, and we saw Pat Murphy go and win Manager of the Year, so maybe something similar could be in the cards for Walt West and the Atlanta Braves. The Washington Nationals have also found their new manager in Blake Butera, who was hired back in October a couple weeks ago, and he is now the youngest manager in Major League Baseball in over 50 years at 33 years old, and he was previously the senior director of player development in the Tampa Bay Rays organization. So, interesting. For Blake Butera and then the Nationals, I think for the Nationals this is a pretty interesting opportunity. I mean, with the Rays are one of the best player developing organizations. I think of guys like Junior Caminero that have come through their system, Shane McClanahan, a really good starting pitcher who's battled injuries, Shane Baz, who had a pretty solid season, I'm pretty sure, this year with the Tampa Bay Rays. So the Rays are really good at developing talent, and that's what the Nationals really need, and I don't think that's really what Dave Martinez had in that manager role. He wasn't very good before he won that World Series, and that kind of kept him his job for most of the time. So Blake Butera coming in as the Nationals manager, I think this is potentially a really good fit, but we really won't know until we see how the Nationals start performing out on the field. But that's a young team that needs some developing, and I think Blake Butera could be the guy that helps the Nationals help those players develop. And the other managing hire was the Baltimore Orioles hiring Carlos Albernaz. I don't really know a lot about the Orioles' new manager. I'm trying to see anything about him. So, looking at his resume, he was a former catcher in the minor leagues from the mid 2000s to about 2014, it looks like. And he's another bench coach working with the Cleveland Guardians this last season. He also worked with the Tampa Bay Rays as well, I believe, as a player and a coach in the minor leagues before getting that role with the Cleveland Guardians. So, another bench coach getting an opportunity. And again, I already talked about it with the Braves, but promoting another bench coach to a manager role, we saw how it worked with the Brewers. I think this could be another good move, and the Orioles need someone who is a little bit younger, can provide a little bit more of a steady foundation for that team, and have guys like Jackson Holliday. You also have Colton Cowser. You have Kobe Mayo in there as well. You have Gunnar Henderson. You have Adley Rushman, who the entire Orioles organization and players need someone that can help them develop and get back to form like in 2023. And Craig Albernaz could be a potential guy to do that and working with player development in the Rays. Again, very good at developing talent. This could be a good move for the Orioles. We'll see how it turns out. And looking at it, the Rockies are the only team with a open manager position right now. And I already mentioned Don Mattingly being let go by the Blue Jays, or I should be more specific, him choosing to leave the Toronto Blue Jays. So maybe the Rockies are looking at Don Mattingly. You never know. I mean, I believe Don Mattingly was actually in the running to be the Brewers manager after Craig Counsell left. I'm pretty sure back in 2024, if I'm not mistaken. So Don Mattingly could get his shot at being manager once again very, very soon. And Don Mattingly's been a manager before. I believe he's the manager of the Marlins back in like 2018, I'm pretty sure. Might have been a coach with the Yankees as well, now working with the Blue Jays. So Don Mattingly, once again, may not be a bad option if you're the Colorado Rockies. Still sticking with the MLB here, real quick. Free agency is officially underway, and several players have already been offered the qualifying offer, which is 1 year, $22 million. It's a contract that teams can give out to their best players, and if a those players do decide to go to another team in free agency and decline that qualifying offer, the teams can receive a extra draft pick as well. So Kyle Schwarber was tendered a qualifying offer along with Kyle Tucker of the Cubs, Ranger Suarez, Schwarber's teammate on the Phillies, Framber Valdez of the Astros, Bo Bichette of the Blue Jays, Dylan Cease of the Padres, Trent Grisham of the New York Yankees, Gleyber Torres of the Tigers, Edwin Diaz of the Mets after Edwin Diaz chose to decline his player option, Brandon Woodruff of the Brewers, the longest tenured Brewer at this point, Zach Gallen of the Arizona Diamondbacks, very interesting decision there, and Shota Imanaga of the Cubs after Imanaga bought out his contract and decided to head into free agency. Michael King as well. And some guys that really did not get the qualifying offer were Luis Arias of the Padres, Zach Eflin, Lucas Giolito, Jorge Polanco, and Devin Williams. They all received the qualifying offer. Once again, $22 million over one season. And if these players choose to accept another offer by another team and not the qualifying offer, said team who offered the qualifying offer will get a extra draft pick in return due to competitive balancing rules, I'm pretty sure. So that's your first little snippet of MLB free agency. Out of every single league in American sports, I'm pretty sure MLB free agency might be the most active, maybe second to NBA free agency, or maybe NBA second to MLB. But this is where team or players really do hit the open market and get paid compared to NBA and NFL players and hockey players as well, I'm pretty sure. One other bit of MLB breaking news from today. Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz, two players that were suspended by the MLB for a gambling investigation, were arrested both today, I believe, in Massachusetts, I'm pretty sure, and they've been brought up with charges of gambling, and they can be facing up to 65 years in prison if they are convicted. So this all really just broke today. I haven't looked at very many facts, but all I have really seen is that these players have been brought up against these charges, and this has been a gambling probe that has been going on for a couple months now, ever since those two were suspended, I believe, back in August, I'm pretty sure. And this is very interesting, but I've seen that they've maybe possibly gambled about $12 million, possibly some figure of 12, most likely is the dollar amount. So this is very huge news, and I think this may all but confirm that Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz may never pitch in the MLB again. And for Emmanuel Clase, a guy that was an all-star closer, one of the best in baseball, you just got to question, what was he thinking? Because he was one of the best closers in baseball, making a lot of money. Did he really have to gamble money and try to get some money back? I'm not sure. Some other news from this past week. NASCAR and their season wrapped up this past Sunday with Kyle Larson, driver of the number 5 car for Hendrick Motorsports, picked up his second championship in a dramatic late race turn of events after defeating Denny Hamlin in the 11 car, driving for Joe Gibbs Racing. Congratulations to Kyle Larson. If you want to hear more about this story, I'll let you guys go over to my channel, my personal show, Talking NASCAR with Andrew Volkman. It will be my second most recent episode, I'm pretty sure. Episode 69, nice, will be the episode where you'll hear me talking about Kyle Larson winning his second championship. I'll also be recapping all the championships from NASCAR in their lower series, like the NASCAR Xfinity Series, the NASCAR Truck Series. So you can go check out all those episodes. Link will be down in the description below. Some big news out of the college football scene. We have number 2 Indiana solidifying their bid into the Big Ten championship. Texas Tech had a dominant victory over number 7 BYU, establishing a possible championship in sight for the Texas Tech Raiders. I believe they're the Raiders, right? I'm pretty sure. Someone text, just let me know down in the comments. Texas Tech, number 8, defeated BYU to really establish themselves in the Big 12. And number 3 Texas A&M won again, uh, making a strong case for the number 1 overall spot in the country. And some SEC teams are not showing very much fight. So there's some teams that are really kind of emerging, but it really is up for grabs in the SEC between Florida, LSU, and Oklahoma. Meanwhile, other teams like Alabama, Georgia, and Ole Miss are still looking very, very solid, but Florida, LSU, Oklahoma, very struggling very, very much. And as well, Vanderbilt continues their success as well with their really good season. I think they're inside the top 10 still, which is very surprising. I was not expecting Vanderbilt to be a top 10 team in the country for college football. I mean, you'd expect that from the baseball side of things, but not football. Sure, definitely. Yeah, I expected it's not Texas A&M, Vanderbilt to be a top 10 team in the country for college football. Yeah, I expected that. And Fernando Mendoza for the Hoosiers, still looking very, very good. Though a close victory over Penn State 27-24 made it very, very interesting. SMU in the ACC has also been playing very good. They picked up another victory, moving to 5-1. Oregon in the Pac-12 is looking. It's not in the Pac-12. In the Big Ten is looking very, very good. UCLA had a pretty big loss to Indiana as well. Going back to Indiana real quick, Fernando Mendoza had a pretty impressive touchdown pass with the 36 seconds left to go against Penn State. That is really cool to see. He's been very, very solid. Some other big news for Badger fans that may be listening to this show, Wisconsin Badgers fans, people. Luke Fickell will be sticking around as the Badgers head coach. We've seen a lot of head coaches in the college football scene kind of being taken away. We looked at Penn State firing their head coach. LSU fired their head coach as well. And apparently Wisconsin is not ready to jump into that carousel quite yet. I mean, Luke Fickell staying around. We saw them upset number 23 Washington yesterday on Saturday night, so that was pretty entertaining to watch. I was not watching that personally. I was at a school event, so I didn't get to see that, but I did see the score while I was there, and I was like, oh my goodness. Man, Luke Fickell might have actually just saved his job, everybody. And there was a statement put out by the head athletic director of Wisconsin saying that a lot more funds will be put into the program going forward on the recruitment side of things. Not sure how I feel about that, especially when the NCAA kind of busted Luke Fickell for recruiting some recruiting scandals and some other staff members on the Badger staff. So, don't know how I feel about that, but we'll have to wait and see how things go for the Wisconsin Badgers going soon. Moving on, though, we are going to be talking about the NFL trade deadline, however. And starting out with a bit of a smaller trade, we have the Las Vegas Raiders trading wide receiver Jakobi Meyers to the Jacksonville Jaguars for a 2026 fourth round pick and a 2026 sixth round pick. So, immediately kind of looking at this and maybe giving out some early kind of grades. The Jacksonville Jaguars getting another wide receiver to help Trevor Lawrence. I think this is an easy kind of B plus, B range kind of move. I think there may have been a better receiver out there, maybe someone like Chris Olave that you could have gotten. But with the amount of compensation that the Jaguars gave up with a fourth round pick and a sixth round pick, I don't think they're going to be really complaining about that, especially when Jakobi Meyers was the best wide receiver on the Las Vegas Raiders and may have not been used right in that sense on that offense. When you have Geno Smith there, one of the best gunslingers in the NFL, but Trey Tucker was getting a lot of targets on that team as well, maybe getting some more than Jakobi Meyers at times. So for Jakobi Meyers getting traded to Jacksonville, this is immediately a spot where you can get a lot of targets, emerge yourself potentially as a wide receiver one over guys like Brian Thomas Jr., who we all thought would be taking a big leap this year with Trevor Lawrence. Travis Hunter is obviously out for the year. And the Jaguars, this allows them to get another receiver in there, add a little bit more depth, and hopefully they'll finish out this season very, very strong. For the Raiders, I mean, this season has already not been very good. I mean, Geno Smith, they has just been throwing a lot of picks. The run game has not been able to get going with Ashton Jeanty, which should have been a thing, but I have no idea for whatever reason why Ashton Jeanty is not doing very good in Las Vegas. He should really be getting a lot of targets. They should be spreading the ball around a lot more and not just having Geno Smith gunsling it down the field and throw in 3 interceptions in one game, looking like Tua Tagovailoa out there, I guess. So for the Raiders, this isn't very good. I mean, trading away your best wide receiver, but on the bright side, Trey Tucker might get more targets and might really emerge himself as a number one wide receiver option. So I'm just gonna give this a D minus. I can't say this is an F because you did get some good compensation in return with a fourth round pick, but you could have gone maybe a little bit more, like a third, maybe possibly a second round pick. But 2 picks for Jakobi Meyers, I don't really know, and they're not really great picks, especially since the Jaguars are going to be a pretty solid team. Yeah, D for the Raiders, while a B plus, possibly an A minus for the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's my kind of brief evaluation of the trade, the Jacoby Myers trade to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I just mentioned the Saints. Rashid Shaheed, man, that's a tongue twister. Maybe try saying that 5 times fast. Rashid Shaheed, oh man, I don't even want to try that because that just sounds so hard, and I'm not even going to try. But Rashid Shaheed was traded to the Seattle Seahawks. I believe I'm looking up the trade details right now. I am just looking for it. Saints traded wide receiver Rashid Shaheed to the Seahawks for similar compensation as Jacoby Myers, 2026 fourth round pick and a 2026 fifth round pick. So pretty similar, I would say, just a little bit better. And yeah, for the Seahawks, you didn't have to give up a lot. For the Saints, I mean, it wasn't particularly great compensation, but I think you actually got maybe a little bit more compensation, maybe possibly a little bit better compensation than what the Raiders got for Jacoby Myers, which I don't know how to feel about that if you're a Raiders fan, seeing that Rashid Shaheed got more compensation than Jacoby Myers. I don't know how to feel about that if you're a Raiders fan. But Shaheed will be reuniting with former Saints offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak in Seattle. So familiarity there. Probably a reason why the Seattle Seahawks went with Rashid Shaheed. They could have possibly also gone with Chris Olave, but maybe that just wasn't in the cards. Maybe that was just too much to give up. And given that you're giving up a fourth round pick and a fifth round pick for Rashid Shaheed, who's been one of the only bright spots on that Saints team, I think it's a pretty solid move. Pair him with JSN. That's a pretty good wide receiver group. You got Cooper Kupp in there, whatever he has left in the tank over there. So the Seattle Seahawks have a pretty solid wide receiver core right now, a good amount of depth in there. And for the Saints, not terrible compensation, especially for a guy like Rashid Shaheed, who isn't the most talented wide receiver. He is definitely one of the higher, bigger prospect or the bigger players on the trade block this year. So I think the compensation, it's not great once again, but I think it's better than the Raiders. So I'm going to give this a C minus grade for the New Orleans Saints. And for the Seattle Seahawks, again, pretty solid value. I'm going to give this a B, especially since Rashid Shaheed will be another guy that will help solidify some more depth on that wide receiver group. If JSN were to go down, you still got Rashid Shaheed there to help fill some gaps and pick up some targets. Now moving on, we get to a really, really big trade. Sauce Gardner getting traded from the New York Jets to the Indianapolis Colts. And this was a pretty big trade for the NFL trade deadline, a trade that we do not see very, very often. The Jets sent Sauce Gardner to the Indianapolis Colts for 2 first-round picks in 2026 and 2027, plus wide receiver Adonai Mitchell. And I think this is a really good trade for both sides, if I'm being honest. First, for the Colts, getting Sauce Gardner, an all-pro cornerback, getting out of the Jets, that's a huge win for Sauce Gardner, by the way. So congratulations to him, pairing him with my boy and Miles's boy, Hunter Wooler, in that secondary. I can't wait. I'm just glazing Hunter Wooler extremely hard here, but I'm really excited to see what this secondary is going to look like now because you got Sauce, you have Travarius Ward in there as well. When he comes back, you're going to have Hunter Wooler in there. Oh, man. I'm just so excited, and Miles is going to be echoing my comments as well down in the comment section below, and you should too. Support Hunter Wooler down in the comments section below. But yeah, the Colts getting Sauce Gardner really addresses a weakness on that defense that has been the weak part of the Colts game, but with that, it's a very minimal weakness, and adding Sauce Gardner adds some depth to the secondary, along with Hunter and Travarius Ward once Travarius Ward comes back. So this is a good move for the Indianapolis Colts. And giving up 2 first-round picks and A.D. Mitchell for a guy like Sauce Gardner seems like pretty fair compensation. Maybe is Sauce Gardner worth 2 first-round picks? Give him or take that a little bit. Now for the Jets, getting 2 first-round picks is really, really good. And then you got A.D. Mitchell to add a little bit more depth to that wide receiver group. Another guy that Justin Fields can hopefully throw to alongside Garrett Wilson. And for the New York Jets, getting Adonai Mitchell, a little bit more depth. Not like there was much to begin with. I mean, because like you have the top 2 targets being Mason Taylor, the tight end, and then Garrett Wilson when he's healthy. Allen Lazard hasn't really been doing much on the Jets as far as I know of. He hasn't been doing a lot. The Jets, just overall, their offense is not very good. And the Jets also traded Quinnen Williams as well, which we'll get to in a little bit. But it's so confusing why the Jets did not trade Breece Hall either, especially to a team like the Cowboys or the Chiefs, like Miles kind of predicted. I'm pretty sure Miles predicted Breece Hall going to the Chiefs, I'm pretty sure, or Alvin Kamara going to the Chiefs, something like that. I know Breece Hall was definitely a guy that he was eyeing to be traded. Miles was, at least. So for the Jets getting 2 first-round picks and a wide receiver, I think this is a really good trade. So for the Colts, I'm gonna give this trade an A. I feel like the compensation maybe a tiny bit niche, maybe a little bit of an overpay, but for a guy like Sauce Gardner, helping to fill a gap on the Colts that are looking like contenders for a Super Bowl this year, which I don't think I would be saying that. Feels illegal to say almost, but maybe my grandpa would disagree. My grandpa would disagree with that. So, yeah, Colts getting an A, and for the Jets, this is also an A as well. 2 first-round picks and wide receiver depth, and AD Mitchell, who coming out of college had some pretty high stock and high value as a wide receiver, hasn't really been able to put together at the NFL level. Really been kind of taking a back seat to Michael Pittman Jr. and Alec Pierce. Potentially with the Jets now gets a second chance, maybe a way for the Jets to help rebuild and for AD Mitchell to really emerge himself as a legit maybe number 2 or number 1 wide receiver for another team. And the other big trade that the Jets made as well on Tuesday, a couple days ago, was the Jets trading defensive tackle Quinnen Williams to the Dallas Cowboys for a 2026 second round pick and one of the Dallas Cowboys' 2027 first round picks and defensive tackle Mozzie Smith. So one of those first round picks is actually one of the Green Bay Packers' first round picks that came over in the Micah Parsons trade. So that will be the better of one of those 2 first round picks for 2027. For the Jets, getting more first-round picks as well for 2027 as well, and Mozzie Smith helping to add to the D-line. Really good young D-lineman who's controllable, and a 2026 second-round pick, another pick that's pretty solid as well. So the Jets getting more draft capital for the rebuild that they are going to have to start very, very soon. And for the Dallas Cowboys, getting Quinnen Williams, hopefully we'll be able to help stop that, help that defense out a lot more, especially since they did lose Travion Diggs to the IR, and that team has just been battling injuries, along with some unfortunate losses on the defense as well, which I am going to talk about at the end of this episode. I'm going to say that for a little bit later. So that will help the defense of the Dallas Cowboys. Quinnen Williams, very good pass rusher, very good on the defense. That will help the Cowboys a lot. So for the Dallas Cowboys receiving Quinnen Williams, I think this is another A minus. I would probably go with A minus because giving up a first round pick and a second round pick and Mozzie Smith, especially for a guy like Quinnen Williams, I feel like maybe doesn't hold the same type of value as Sauce Gardner would. You're basically giving up the same just for Quinnen Williams, except it's a second round pick and Mozzie Smith. I don't know how I feel about that, but I think this is a pretty solid move. So the Cowboys, I'm going to give an A minus. And for the Jets getting Mozzie Smith and 2 picks, I think this is a pretty good trade as well. Help getting another young player who really wouldn't have a role on the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to give this a B plus as well, maybe potentially an A minus. The more I think about it, I'm going to give this an A minus as well. I think for these 2 teams and both these trades, for the Jets, Cowboys, and the Colts, I think both these trades were very good for all 3 teams over the course of these 2 trades. So I think they were all really good for both sides. So that's why I'm going to give them pretty high grades. For the Jags and the Raiders trade, yeah, I mean the Raiders, D seems pretty good. I might give that an F. But some other trades that went down before the trade deadline, the Philadelphia Eagles acquired former All-Pro cornerback Jair Alexander from the Baltimore Ravens, and the Eagles have been really kind of doing this for the past couple of weeks, or the last 2 weeks, I'm pretty sure, adding more depth to the defense, which really has been the problem for the Eagles. It's not been the offense, even though that offense at times has been very, very stagnant, but still got a lot of talent on that offense. But for the defense, losing Josh Sweat in the offseason really has hurt them a lot, but adding Jair Alexander and some other depth guys will help ensure that team on the defensive side of things as well. The Pittsburgh Steelers acquired Kyle Duggar from the New England Patriots, and this is a very interesting trade because the Patriots actually just extended Kyle Duggar in the offseason, but apparently the Patriots were done with them. Kind of a confusing move. So now the Steelers helping out that secondary, which has not been very good these last couple of weeks. I point to the Packers and Steelers game from last week as proof. Sorry, 2 weeks ago. So I like that move for the Steelers quite a bit. But there you go. Those are pretty much all the big trades from this year's NFL trade deadline. And if I think about it, at least in my opinion, this is one of the bigger trade deadlines I've seen since when the year Christian McCaffrey got traded from the Panthers to the San Francisco 49ers. In my opinion, this was the biggest trade deadline, even surpassing the year when Christian McCaffrey got traded. I'm pretty sure Chase Young and Tyrann Mathieu were also not Tyrann Mathieu. What was his name? Marshawn Lattimore were all traded in the same year as well. That might have been the year Christian McCaffrey got traded or last year. I can't quite remember actually. Now, moving on to talk about the NFL to wrap up this episode. Uh, Instead of recapping every single game from every single week of the NFL season, being that we're halfway through, I've kind of come up with a more efficient way to do things. I haven't really got this signed off by Miles, who is technically my superior when it comes to this show. So, Miles, please don't get too mad at me for not telling you this, but if you're listening, you'll catch on very, very quickly. So instead, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be kind of analyzing every game and not really going over them. I'm going to be kind of giving my big takeaways from all of these games. So, from week 8, this was kind of an interesting week. I'm not really going to lie. I mean, for one, you have the Miami Dolphins upsetting the Atlanta Falcons at home, so that was a very interesting game. The Baltimore Ravens also came back to life, apparently, beating the Bears 30-16. Lamar Jackson, I'm pretty sure, was back for that game as well, and he had a pretty solid game. Or that might have been Tyler Huntley. It was Tyler Huntley, never mind, and I believe Derrick Henry kind of led the way with things on the run game. Yeah, it was Derrick Henry that really led the way for the Baltimore Ravens in that one. So yeah, the Ravens kind of came back, but Lamar Jackson was back in Week 9. We'll get to that in a second. The New York Jets also got their first win of the season with a 1-point victory over the Bengals in Week 8 as well. The Houston Texans upset the 49ers at home 26-15. The New England Patriots and Drake May continue to look impressive, and specifically for Drake May, he is emerging himself as a true MVP candidate. He went 18 for 24, 282 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. So the Patriots really emerging themselves as a really big contender, and Drake May again being an MVP candidate. While that O-line for the Patriots might actually just be garbage because Myles Garrett was unstoppable in that game. I believe he sacked and pressured Drake May a bunch of times. So that was incredible to watch, and it was very interesting to say the least. The Packers against the Steelers, another game. Jordan Love facing off against Aaron Rodgers, the first time Rodgers would be taking on the Packers, and the Packers were able to come back in the second half, even though that game was not pretty end to end for the Packers. 35-25. The Colts continued to win against the Titans. The Chiefs blew out the Commanders 28-7. I'm pretty sure Jayden Daniels was not playing in this game. It was Marcus Mariota in for Jayden Daniels once again on Sunday night football or on Monday Night Football against the Chiefs. The Broncos beat the Cowboys 44-24. Buccaneers blew out the Saints once again. The Bills blew out the Panthers. And besides that, the Chargers blew out the Vikings once again. And the Eagles beat the Giants by 18. So yeah, I think in this week 8, we kind of saw the really good teams kind of emerge themselves with a couple of outliers of the Jets and the Texans game, and possibly, I'm looking at it, maybe the Dolphins and Falcons game, and the Broncos and Cowboys game was very confusing as well. So we really got to see who the good teams were in this week. I mean, I guess the good teams really kind of shown out, is probably a more accurate statement. Now for week 9, for the Ravens and Dolphins, this was a game that I kind of want to talk about. Lamar Jackson in his return to the starting spot at quarterback, 204 yards, 4 touchdowns while going 18 for 23, a very solid game for Lamar Jackson, while Tua on the other side did not really do much. I mean, 261 yards was very solid, but 25 for 40 with 1 interception and only scoring 6 points. Not very good to see if you're the Dolphins, and their season already has not been very, very good. Something that I forgot to highlight actually earlier in this episode, the Dolphins did fire their GM of Mike Greer while they are keeping, or not Mike Greer, Chris Greer. He has been fired. The Finns fired him while they are keeping Mike McDaniel for at least the remainder of the season. His future with the team beyond this year is a little bit of a TBD kind of thing. Otherwise, we have the Chargers beating the Titans by a touchdown. The Lions actually upset the Detroit Lions in Detroit. J.J. McCarthy returning to the starting lineup actually had a pretty solid game, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 14 for 25, 143 yards, 2 touchdowns, and interception. Pretty solid for J.J. McCarthy, while Jared Goff, 25 for 37, 284 yards, 2 touchdowns. David Montgomery had a touchdown as well. Sam Laporta, 6 receptions, 97 yards, and a touchdown. This was a very solid game. This was a very nice game, very well-fought game. The Patriots beat the Falcons by 1 point, 24-23. I'm pretty sure Drake May had a really good game. 19 for 29, 259 yards, 2 touchdowns, and interception. Michael Penix Jr., 221 yards, 3 touchdowns, while going 22 for 37. Not bad either. But besides that, not really much else going. I mean, Drake London, 9 receptions, 118 yards, 3 touchdowns. My goodness. Demario Douglas for the Patriots, 4 receptions, 100 yards, and a touchdown. Very, very good as well. Another hard-fought game. The Steelers actually handed the Colts a loss, 27-20, in Pittsburgh. Rodgers went 25 for 35, 200 yards, a touchdown. Daniel Jones went 31 for 50, 342 yards, one touchdown, and three interceptions. Yeah, the Steelers really looked like they shut down that run game for the Colts, and they really had to rely on Daniel Jones. And not pretty if you're a Colts fan. So praying that you guys are going to have to play the Steelers in the playoffs. Jalen Warren had two touchdowns as well. Alec Pierce, 6 receptions, 155 yards. Pretty solid stat line for those guys. And looking beyond that, the Broncos beat the Texans by 3 in Houston. Bo Nix had two touchdowns, an interception. CJ Stroud was actually out for this game. He had a concussion, I'm pretty sure, from last week. He was injured towards the end of Week 8's game, so Davis Mills had to come in 17 for 30, 137 yards, no touchdowns. Nick Chubb was the leading rusher. RJ Harvey got a touchdown on the receiving side of things, while J.K. Dobbins kind of led the way on the rushing side of things. The Bears beat the Bengals 47-42, very high scoring game. The Panthers beat the Packers 16-13, and the Packers are really showing that they are, like the Broncos, a very good team. They have a lot of talent, but they're just so freaking confusing, dude. I mean, the Packers, their play calling was not good. They had a fumble. They had Jordan Love almost throw two interceptions. He had one in that game. The defense, not looking good. I mean, even though we knew that Rico Dowdle was going to be giving the ball a lot for the Panthers, who, by the way, Rico Dowdle, 25 carries, 130 yards, and two touchdowns. He pretty much had the ball every single play, it felt like, and the Packers could not stop him. I mean, that is just not good. I mean, I thought we had a run defense. Micah Parsons, for the first time in his career, had no QB pressures. So I don't know, for whatever reason, why the Packers could not go against this Panthers offense with a really broken down O-line, not very good offense, and not plan ahead for Rico Dowdle. I don't know why we couldn't do that. So that was a very frustrating game overall. Everything for the Packers kind of fell apart. Not mistakes on the special teams, mistakes on the defense, mistakes on the offense and the play calling. It has not been good. And these, yeah, the games we lost for the Packers, the two losses, it should have really been a third one to the Cowboys. They've been the same things. Special teams errors, defensive errors, and offensive errors. I guess the Cowboys game we can kind of exclude because the offense actually was doing pretty good. The Raiders beat the Jaguars beat the Raiders in overtime, 30-29. That was a pretty insane game. Trevor Lawrence had 220 yards, didn't throw any touchdowns. Geno Smith had 4 touchdowns, 284 yards, 29 for 39. While Ashton Jeanty could not get anything going. Travis Etienne Jr., 22 carries for 84 yards, had a pretty solid game. Brock Bowers in his return from injury, 12 receptions, 127 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And yet the Raiders could not win this game. Yikes. The Bills beat the Chiefs finally. If only the Bills could do this in the playoffs, that would be great. 28-21. Josh Allen, 23 for 26, 273 yards and a touchdown. Mahomes, 15 for 34, 250 yards and interception. Kareem Hunt had a touchdown on the Chiefs side of things. James Cook went 27 carries for 114 yards, while Dalton Kincaid had a touchdown as well. So this was a very interesting game. Glad to see the Chiefs losing another one, frankly, if I'm being honest here. The Rams blew out the Saints once again. I believe it's Tyler Shuck actually got his first start in the NFL after replacing Spencer Rattler late in Week 8. 15 for 24, 176 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So not a horrible stat line, but not really good, especially you're a guy that was a third-round pick, I'm pretty sure, or a second-round pick, but it wasn't very, very good. Stafford went 24 for 32, 281 yards, and 4 touchdowns on the Rams side of things. Kyron Williams had a big game, 25 carries for 114 yards and a touchdown. Puka Nacua, 7 receptions, 95 yards, and a touchdown. Taysom Hill, believe it or not, I believe this was his first game back from injury on the IR after tearing his ACL, I believe, last year. Had 4 carries for 30 yards and was the leading rusher over a guy like Alvin Kamara. Holy cow, that is incredible. That Taysom Hill was the leading rusher for the New Orleans Saints. But yeah, I guess that's just how the Saints season has been going, if we're being honest. The Seahawks beat the Commanders 38-14. Just not a pretty game if you're a Commanders fan. Jane Daniels got hurt, actually dislocated his left elbow. Just, ugly sight, ugly sight. Jane Daniels is going to be out indefinitely. But Dan Quinn, the head coach of the Commanders, did say that surgery will not be needed for Jane Daniels. I don't know what the likelihood of him returning is going to be, but being that Jane Daniels is going to be at least out for a while, yeah, the playoff hopes for the Commanders are not looking good, to say the least. In that game, Sam Darnold went 21 for 24, 330 yards, 4 touchdowns, and an interception. Not Kenneth Walker, Jackson Smith-Njigba, 128 receptions, 129 yards. Jane Daniels had 16 for 22, 153 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, this game was a blowout, and by the fourth quarter, when Daniels got injured, I mean, you'd be asking why was he in when you know he's an injury, has injury risks, and you kind of want to take care of him, compete in another day. I mean, Dan Quinn admitted himself that, yeah, we probably should have taken Jane Daniels out, but now he's going to be out for a lot longer. Chris Rodriguez Jr. on the rushing side things had a touchdown for the Washington Commanders. Zach Ertz was the leading receiver for the Washington Commanders. I'm pretty sure Cody White had a touchdown for the Seahawks. Torrey Horton had 2 touchdowns. Elijah Arroyo, tight end, I'm pretty sure had a touchdown as well. And looking at the Commanders side of things, Jane Daniels had a rushing touchdown as well. No passing touchdowns as well. So this was a very one-sided game for the Seahawks Commanders. And finally, the Cardinals and Cowboys on Monday Night Football from this past week. Cardinals stormed into Jerry World, 27-17 victory over the Cowboys. Jacoby Brissett, 21 for 31, 261 yards and 2 touchdowns. Emari Demercado, 14 carries, 79 yards. Marvin Harrison Jr., 7 receptions, 96 yards, and 1 touchdown. He was the leading receiver. For the Cowboys, Dak went 24 for 39, 250 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Javonte Williams, 15 carries for 83 yards. CeeDee Lamb, 7 receptions, 85 yards. Jacoby Brissett had a rushing touchdown as well. Trey McBride had a touchdown on the receiving side of things for the Arizona Cardinals. And I'm pretty sure Ryan Flournoy, I'm pretty sure I'm saying that name right, had the only receiving touchdown, I'm pretty sure, for the Dallas Cowboys. I'm pretty sure. I don't think they really had anything else. And one other headline that is kind of surrounding the Cardinals, Kyler Murray will not be returning to the starting QB job for the Arizona Cardinals for a couple weeks at least. According to reports after consulting a couple doctors, the Arizona Cardinals are deciding to have Kyler Murray rest and recover for a couple more weeks and keep Jacoby Brissett in the starting quarterback job while Kyler Murray continues to recover. And if he were to come back from injury now, I would only hurt his foot possibly and set him back from recovery even more. So I guess the Cardinals are just kind of going the conservative route and going with Jacoby Brissett, who, from the outside looking in, he has been playing a lot better than Kyler Murray and commanding that offense a lot better. So for Kyler Murray, you cannot be very happy about that, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, those are the big stories from the NFL right now. And I think the Cowboys getting Quinn Williams, I think this will definitely be one of the last times possibly that the Cowboys will be giving up 27 points to the Cardinals. But there you go. That is your big kind of takeaways from week 8 and week 9 of the NFL season. I'll do something similar for week 10 very, very soon. We've already seen the majority of the games played today on Sunday. Monday Night Football between the Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles tomorrow night on ESPN. I know I'll be tuning in for that game. Hopefully the Packers play well and they can actually get a victory, hopefully. So that'll be a very exciting game to say the least. One more thing before I sign off from this episode. I have some really sad news to talk about here, and this is something that's been kind of talked about possibly. You may have already heard it, but the Dallas Cowboys lost one of their better defensive linemen in Marshawn Kneeland. A very sad story. It was announced earlier this week or later this week, a couple days ago, that he had passed away only a couple days after on Monday Night Football. He blocked a punt and returned it for his first NFL touchdown. And this was only his second season in the NFL after last year, I believe, being drafted in the 3rd round by the Cowboys. A very sad story. There was no kind of cause of death, so I'm not very sure what it was. But by reports from and some statements from Marshawn Kneeland's girlfriend and family, he was having some mental health issues. I'm not going to assume that was the reason why he passed away. I'm just hearing those rumors and kind of passing them off to you, possibly for you guys to form your own opinions. But I was saddened to hear this loss. You never like to hear a player go down like this and hear sad reports like this. And the NFL and every single team is honoring Marshawn Kneeland this weekend and possibly throughout the entire season. This is a truly tragic story. For me, my thoughts and prayers are with the Kneeland family and all his friends and those who are affected by this loss and the Dallas Cowboys and their organization, and hope that things will be getting better very, very soon. And I hope that this loss will eventually they can get over it. And this is a truly tragic loss. So my thoughts and prayers are with them. So I just wanted to talk about that real quick because that was um, something that really should be talked about. And I don't like to talk about a lot of this stuff on the show, some of these negative things, but this one is a truly tragic one that can't be overstated or understated and should be talked about. So once again, thoughts and prayers with the Nealon family and Marshawn Nealon's friends. Thoughts and prayers are with everyone, all his family and friends. So I hate to end the episode on kind of a sad note like that, but that's how it's gonna end here. So, thank you for tuning in to this episode of Talking Sports. I'll be back very, very soon, possibly with some more mini-sodes. NBA predictions could be coming up very, very soon. MLB free agency predictions coming up very, very soon. So you can be expecting that coming up in a couple days or maybe at the end of this week. So stay tuned on that. But for Andrew Volkman and Talking Sports. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you very, very soon. Have a great day, everybody.